Can I be honest with you? I am bad news. I'm not your friend. I'm not gonna help you. I'm gonna break you. Any questions?
Did you know that it's been 11 years since Zero Dark 30 has been released? The true story of the hunt of Osama Bin Laden is the basis for the movie Zero Dark 30, and the title has historical significance. The thriller, directed by Catherine Bigelow, spans several years as the American intelligence community tries to track down. First, let's see a recap of the movie. Jessica Chastain plays Maya in the movie Zero Dark 30. Jason Clarke, who plays Dan, the CIA's go-to torturer, and Jennifer Ely, who plays Jessica, a CIA agent with a conflicting perspective on how to defeat Al-Qaeda, provide supporting roles. It has an army of army guys, hundreds of interchangeable suits playing Maya's CIA supervisors, and an apparently unlimited number of terrorist suspects in crates. In order to discover Osama Bin Laden's hiding spots and convince the government to attack it, a CIA analysis must navigate terrorist bombings, moral quandaries, and doubtful superiors over the course of years following 9/11. CIA agent Maya Lambert is played by Jessica Chastain. The first scene of Zero Dark 30 is a blank screen and a 911 call made by a terrified lady who was trapped in one of the Twin Towers on September the 11th, 2001. Cut to CIA analyst Maya Lambert is tasked with locating Osama Bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda. She was sent to the American embassy in Pakistan in 2003. She and CIA agent Dan Fuller watch Amar, a detainee who was exposed to authorized enhanced interrogation techniques, being questioned in a black site. Amar is suspected of having ties to a number of the hijackers involved in the September 11th attacks. Maya, a prickly loner who has no background, no friends and no family, and is more of an ambiguous protagonist than a classic heroine, is a focal point of the story. She first appears in the opening scene when another CIA agent, Dan, is questioning a prisoner named Amar. Amar appears to have been battered, despite Mr. Bao's claims that he's a composite. Dan claims, "I own you, you are mine."
I own you, Amar. You belong to me.
Someone in a ski mask follows Dan out of the room. It turns out to be Maya, who encourages him to go on. He carries it out. Dan pushes Amar to the ground, simulates drowning him, and forces him into a gruesome small box during this scene and second interrogation. Most of the violence is portrayed without music cues or any overt cinematic commentary,
You know, when you lie to me, I hurt you.
and is brutal, austere, and almost businesslike. Amar divulges inaccurate details on an alleged attack on Saudi Arabia, but names Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti as Bin Laden's personal courier. A fictitious name, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti, is that important piece of information. He's described as a needle in a haystack by one character, and over the course of the next 8 years, and for the majority of the remaining hour or so of the film, Maya chases him. Maya unearths good and bad intelligence, stumbles into dead ends, and unearths glimmers of optimism among her co-workers, notably the similarly tough Jessica. He endures additional terrorist strikes, both far away and in frighteningly close proximity. Until the political atmosphere dramatically shifts, she also interrogates suspects, occasionally forcefully. Dan warns her, "You don't want to be the last one with a dog collar when the oversight committee comes in." According to additional detainee information, Abu Ahmed was Abu Faraj al-Libi's messenger between him and Bin Laden. Maya considers Faraj's 2005 denial of knowledge of a courier by the name of Abu Ahmed as an effort to hide the significance of Abu Ahmed. Jessica, a fellow officer and friend of Maya's, travels to a US station in Afghanistan in 2009 to meet a highly placed Jordanian doctor who has offered to work as a US spy in exchange for $25 million. When he detonates a suicide vest in what will become known as the Camp Chapman attack, the greatest strike on CIA agents in 25 years, Jessica is murdered along with several other CIA officers. He turns out to be a triple agent loyal to Al-Qaeda. Maya is shown a transcript of an interview with a Jordanian detainee who claims to have buried Abu Ahmed in 2001 by Thomas, the analyst who connected the Abu Ahmed lead. Maya finds out what the CIA was informed of 5 years ago. Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti was Ibrahim Saeed's travel alias. Maya gets an insight. Abu Ahmed might still be alive. Maybe he's still alive and his sibling passed away. Because they all have beards, how is it possible to distinguish between them? CIA Director Jose Rodriguez disputes the veracity of this sequence. Maya approaches Dan, who is currently a senior officer in the CIA headquarters, after realizing that her lead might still be alive. She hypothesizes that the picture of Ahmed that was taken by the CIA is actually of his deceased brother, Habib. Maya explains the story of Ahmed's death in 2001 by claiming that the brothers look alike because of their beards and traditional clothing. A Lamborghini Gallardo bicolor and Saeed's mother's phone number are exchanged by Kuwaiti Royal for Dan. Maya and her CIA team in Pakistan eventually locate a caller in a moving vehicle who displays mannerisms that cause Maya to refer to them as tradecraft, indicating that the person is probably a senior courier. They follow the car to a sizable metropolitan complex in Pakistan's Abbottabad. Maya is called back to Washington, D.C. after gunmen attack her while she's in her car because it's thought that her cover has been exposed. The CIA conducts surveillance on the facility but is unable to positively identify Bin Laden. The CIA is tasked by the president's national security advisor with coming up with a strategy to either kill or capture Bin Laden. The CIA director meets with this senior official before informing President Barack Obama, and they predict that Bin Laden is 60 to 80% likely to be at the facility. The conflict between the Maya faction and the Maya skeptics occupies the majority of the first 2 hours of the movie, and the decision to fire the gun has extremely high stakes. Think about the humiliation President Barack Obama and his advisors would feel if it came out that they had been embarrassingly, publicly, and sensationally wrong. You can't send in the Navy SEALs to raid a sizable compound on the territory of a country that is, at least nominally, an ally. The administration's later portrayal of those pivotal moments and the possibility that it was mistaken is incredibly persuasive. In the meeting, Maya expresses complete confidence. In order to raid the facility, the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, DevGRU, and the CIA's Special Activities Division flew 2 stealth helicopters from Afghanistan into Pakistan. The SEALs break inside the facility and execute several people inside, including a guy that they believe to be Bin Laden. There's a lot more to say about the film, which culminates in the terrifying siege of Bin Laden's hideout by the Navy SEALs, played among others by Joel Edgerton and Chris Pratt, much of which was photographed to mimic the sickening, strangely surreal green of night vision goggles. The direction of Miss Bigelow in this film is quite wonderful, at once strong and intimate. She has a talent for adding the human touch to even elaborate action set pieces. Blood on the Ground is one of the most important pictures. Really, it's pitiful, and as the film moves towards its clearly unfavorable conclusion, it's impossible to not but understand with sorrow what everything that came before, the suffering, the grief, and the compromised principles that resulted in. Maya confirms the identity of the deceased at a US facility in Jalalabad, Afghanistan. As the only passenger, she boarded a military transport headed for the United States. She starts to sob when asked where she wants to go. Zero Dark 30 is not intended to be a moving memorial to the men and women who killed Osama Bin Laden, while their bravery and perseverance is appropriately appreciated, as the film's last shot demonstrates. The target, not the storyline, distinguishes it from other vigilante stories in this movie about vengeance and its high price. Dark 030 leads the audience down a bleak, terrible journey that isn't soothed by the death of an elusive guy who killed 3,000 Americans. From the torture scenes at the beginning to the raid on Abbottabad a decade later, some demons are impossible to expel. What's your take on Zero Dark 30? How many times have you seen this movie? Do let us know your views in the comment section. For more interesting stories, subscribe to our channel, and do not forget to press the bell icon for notifications.